Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A match day 13, probably the most fascinating championship in Europe because we have 6 teams in only 2 points, and also we have a big traffic jam in the relegation spots. Everything is so compact, Leo.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, Edu. Great to be with you again with match day 14 now. And Serie A with some managerial changes. One we were expecting. Ivan Juric is finally out. I was not expecting to see Claudio Ranieri in his first stint in Roma, but he's going to be sitting in the bench on the weekend against Napoli, and some other managerial changes as well down the table in Genoa, also in Lecce. We're going to have the reunion between Patrick Vieira and Balotelli in Genoa. Vieira once said that Balotelli, he's not made for team sports. So let's see how they do it now.
It's also a big surprise to me to see El Profesor Claudio Ranieri after leaving Cagliari. He was retired, but he said, if Cagliari or Roma call me, I will be back. And there, a Romanista, Romano, of course, Ranieri is back. I'm very happy to see him back on the bench of the Giallorossi. So, guys, comment the video with us. We have Theo from New York. Hello to everyone. Nice. And of course, like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, so interesting this Serie A, as I said before. So in every game, we are going to have a lot to talk about. First game on Saturday, Verona. Inter, they are fourth in the standings, but only 1 point away from Napoli after that draw against the Partenopei in the last game before the international break. Probably they deserve more. They had the best chances. They even missed a penalty, but they couldn't beat Napoli. We saw in the international break Lautaro scoring one of the most beautiful goals of the international break after Sanabria, of course. And away from home, Inter 3 wins, 2 draws. I place them as big favorites because Verona, Leo, lost 4 out of the last 5, but even the one that they won was against an awful Roma.
Yes, absolutely massive favorites here. Inter, Edu, they were just a penalty away from being top of the table instead of Napoli. But you mentioned 𝐭𝐿 missed one in the second half in San Siro before we went into the international break. 𝐭𝐿, anyway, he scored a beautiful equalizer on that game. 𝐭𝐿 as well had to... went out injured in the international break against Wales, so it's still there to be seen if he's going to play against Verona. But with Napoli, I believe, Edu, we saw the first starting 11 we can think of, because Pavard, Bastoni, Barella, Mkhitaryan, Dumfries, 𝐭𝐿, Di Marco, Lautaro, Thuram, they all played from the beginning. There is a Champions League match next week against Leipzig. I'm mentioning this just because we are maybe going to see some changes again against Verona. In that first half with Napoli, I would say that Napoli imposed the conditions mostly, but then in the second half, Inter dominated in San Siro, and they should have taken the 3 points. It wasn't anyway as entertaining as it was the 4-4 in October with Juventus. I think that that Francesco Acerbi, a centre back, was the best, was the man of the match against Napoli. It says it all. He nullified Romelu Lukaku, a Lukaku who was booed every time he touched the ball. Lautaro Martinez had his chance. Di Marco as well in the second half. Was the first penalty that 𝐭𝐿 missed in 18 penalties that he has taken so far with the Inter jersey. But anyway, since that derby defeat with Milan, Inter counts 8 wins and 2 draws since then. Away from home, as you mentioned, the record for Inter, 3 wins and 2 draws, 11 points taken away from San Siro. With Juventus and Fiorentina, they have the best away record in Serie A. The last time out was 3-0 against Empoli, and we're going to see for sure, I guess, if Lautaro starts the game against Verona, a striker full of confidence after those two beautiful goals. Well, the one against Paraguay wasn't that beautiful, but the one against Peru, that one for sure. And Verona also, Edu, in this strange run in Serie A, when they don't know what the draw means. 4 wins, 8 defeats. With Fiorentina in Tuscany, the game, they were in the game until the very end because 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, he scored his third goal in the 92nd minute of the match. The last time at home, they took the 3 points against Roma. 3 of their 4 wins have come actually at home. There is not much value anyway on Inter for an 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, 1.4 the odds on Inter to win. Usually, yes, the games straight after the international break are not easy for anyone, but yes, of course, I'm seeing here Inter taking the 3 points. My take here will be Inter winning at halftime, Inter winning at full time, odds of 2.
Everyone here backs Inter. I do Inter to win. Theo, Inter to score on 1.5 goals. Inter plus 2.5. Inter,
yep.
to win also an over 1.5 goals for Benjamin. So everyone is backing Inter. They are the best team in Serie A, even if we are not seeing that in the standings yet. And Verona, they are quite poor, to be honest. The next one, the most interesting game of this weekend, together with Napoli-Roma, probably is Milan-Juve. Milan keep being so inconsistent after winning at Bernabeu. They went to Cagliari and they couldn't win, even if they led twice. It was a 3-all result. Juventus, on the other hand, back to the clean sheets, won the derby as we all expected. It's a safe bet, winning the Derby della Mole, and also against Udinese after Mota being criticized a lot by their mistakes. Both managers, actually, especially Fonseca, more heavily criticized because both teams are very inconsistent, I would say, Leo.
And that's the word for them, I would say. I mean, because this Milan is capable of superlative performances away in the Bernabeu, is capable of winning the derby against Inter, but travels to Sardinia. They score 3 goals, but they still cannot take the 3 points. The result is that the Rossoneri so far is 8 points off the top spot. They are even 6 points away from Juventus in 6. It's true they have a game in hand. Again, they couldn't play against Bologna. I mean, the potential and the overall outlook for Milan, I think, remains positive. But the reality as well is that they need to turn around the defensive work. They have conceded 20 goals in 15 games in all competitions. They have only 4 clean sheets all season, and Fonseca has already experimented with 5 different center backs pairings. So they need to find some stability there at the back, because with those goals per game record, it's impossible to win trophies or even fighting for Champions League spots. At least with Cagliari, Rafael Leao had a very good game, very efficient first half, scoring a brace for him. Tammy Abraham came in the second half on the 66th minute, and few minutes after, he even scored the third goal. It's true that the 3-3 was an outstanding shooting from Zappa, but it's also true that Milan defense was having an up. Edu, Theo Hernandez was heavily criticized as well after the match, because the 3 goals from Cagliari came from the left-hand side on Milan's defense. And Juventus, no problems on the other hand to get the 3 points in the derby against Torino, as we were thinking on our show previewing Matchday 12. They still have injury problems. 𝗵𝗲𝗶𝗀 is out injured. Nico Gonzalez is still not available. Arkadiusz Milik, another one injured. Timothy Weah is the only one, I would say, striker maybe in a very good form. He scored the first one, the opener against Torino. He has scored 4 goals so far this season, and 3 of them have come in the last 4 matches for Juventus. He scored as well for the United States against Jamaica on Monday night. And it's going to be, I believe, some emotional roller coaster for Weah, because he's going to go to San Siro, where his father used to be a hero. 2 wins and 2 draws for Juventus the last 4 match days. But the most important thing for them is that they kept 2 consecutive clean sheets against Udinese first and now against Torino. My take here, Edu, Juventus Asian handicap plus 0.5, odds of 1.7, double chance, almost, let's say.
Yeah, double chance for Juventus in the last 6 games between these two teams were under 2.5 goals, but don't get fooled by the clean sheets kept by Juventus, because they are able also to concede plenty of goals. Also, we are seeing that in the Champions League, so perhaps we see goals here. Theo and Adam are actually going for both teams to score, which I think is a good idea. And if you go for goals, it pays more. The over 2.5, 2.2 than the under is 1.7. So there is value on going for goals here, and also both teams to score is around 2. So very good odds. Juventus without Bremer and 𝗏𝗏𝗏. It's a massive blow. Then if 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is not playing. And on Saturday we have Parma Atalanta, one of the most informed teams in Serie A and probably in Europe. Atalanta only now 1 point away from Napoli. 5 consecutive wins in all competitions, 6 in Serie A, 6 consecutive wins in Serie A. Top scorer of this competition with 31 goals scored. Last game was against Udinese, 2-1, coming back. And Parma was struggling, Leo. They were winless in 9, but they were able to beat Venezia. Very important win.
Yes, absolutely. And Edu, look, I agree with you. You've been saying it all season. Inter is the maximum candidate to win the title. But what if Atalanta wins the title?
Why not?
I would love to see. 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐴 Gasperini, to be honest, lifting the Scudetto. He makes his players grow. He takes the maximum from them. The mentality they have is impressive, because with how many teams do you have the feeling that even if they score first, that you feel that they could still win that game? With Udinese, Camara scored almost before halftime for Udinese, but Atalanta jumped into the second half ready to claim the 3 points. Yes, of course, there are potential obstacles for Atalanta, because we still don't know how they're going to manage the double competition, the Champions League, the Serie A. There is some inexperience in some of their players in terms of like going toe-to-toe against Inter or Napoli or whoever it is on the title race. But if, and it's a massive if, but I love to think what could happen if Atalanta wins, it's going to be something very similar achievement to what happened with Leicester maybe in the Premier League. Papu Gomez said something interesting these days, that usually to aim for the title, you need 85 plus points in the Serie A lately in the last few seasons, and the historical maximum in Serie A for Atalanta is 78 points. But I believe, and it's something that is happening also in England, that the threshold to win the title this season is going to be lower. I can't see teams in the English Premier League or in the Serie A getting ahead with the title with 90 plus points. So maybe that can play in favor as well of Atalanta, but still, I regard Inter the maximum candidate here. Parma, finally, as you said, Edu, after 9 games, they managed to take the 3 points, and they came from behind against Venezia. Boni scored the winning goal. He has 4 this season and 1 assist, so no bad for the striker. Also, this allowed them to take a little bit more separation with the bottom of the table. But now comes a difficult run for them, because in 4 of the next 5 games, they will face Atalanta now, then Lazio, Inter, and Roma. Parma has conceded 18 times so far, Atalanta 15, but of course the Bergamasco team almost doubled Parma's goal tally with 31. For me here, Atalanta to win 165, Edu, good enough.
Well, Atalanta, not long time ago, they were fighting to avoid relegation, but this is an example of a club growth with a great manager, of course, 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐴 Gasperini. And we have Adam also back in Atalanta, minus 2.5, Atalanta straight win, -1, Asian handicap for Atalanta. I see goals on both sides. Parma gave us a very good impression at the beginning of the season, very good
Yep.
performances with young players and doing great, but they will struggle, of course, to stay in Serie A right now, 3 points away from Lecce. On Sunday, Genoa Cagliari, key game, this one for the relegation, both teams with 10 points, 1 point more than Lecce. Genoa drew with 𝐿𝐭𝐵𝐻𝐿 and beat Parma before to avoid falling into the bottom three. Cagliari got this draw that we mentioned, and they were coming against Milan, and they were coming from 3 consecutive defeats. Tough one to call, Leo, and if we check the odds, it's so difficult to go for the 1x2 market.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Parity there, difficult to believe, and I won't be going X1 or X2 here. I think that Cagliari is the Milan of the relegation battle, because if Milan can defeat Inter and Real Madrid but cannot take 3 points with Cagliari, then you have Cagliari that can take draws from Milan, Juventus, and Roma this season so far, but they cannot keep their heads too much above the water. The electric free they have with Milan has echoes of that 1-1 with Juventus, especially because against Juve they score almost on added time, and Zappa's equalizer against Milan also came very close to the end of the game. I believe Zappa actually Zappa scored a brace against Milan, and he's a right back. He's a bit undervalued, I believe, in Serie A, because he has been very consistent for Cagliari. He grew a lot with Claudio Ranieri. When Ranieri was there at Cagliari, he improved him a lot defensively and molded him into a proper fullback. Yes, Genoa now Matchday 13. Then Hellas Verona before Fiorentina and Atalanta come Cagliari's way. The parity almost total, as we say, but even when not just at what we can see at the bookies, but when you look at the numbers, the parity is as well there. They are both on 10 points. You said that same number of wins, same number of draws, same number of defeats. They have both conceded 22 times this season, but Cagliari managed to score 3 more goals than Genoa. The Genovese team is winless at home, 4 draws and 3 defeats so far at home. They will have, as I said, Patrick Vieira making his debut as their manager after the sacking of Gilardino. Some fans were upset that they saw Gilardino dismissed. Vieira is the first appointment he has in Italian football. He has been with New York City in the MLS, Nice and Strasbourg in Ligue 1, Crystal Palace in the Premier League. The reunion with Mario Balotelli, let's see how that works out for them. Difficult to go either way. My take here, both teams to score 1.91.
What is your opinion on Vieira? Especially you followed him closely when he was at Crystal Palace.
He had a good start when he replaced who was there sitting? I can't remember now if it was one of the team of Hodgson, but I remember him finishing well when he took over in Crystal Palace, but then his second season wasn't good. A conservative approach, which at the beginning we all thought Vieira, being the face of that Arsenal with Arsene Wenger, is going to try to play some attractive football, but I haven't seen that, to be honest. But anyway, Genoa, what they need now at the moment is to get points. The beauty of their football can wait for sure.
Indeed, he replaced Roy Hodgson. You are correct. Sam Allardyce, Frank de Boer, Roy Hodgson, and then Patrick Vieira as manager. This is the list of manager of Crystal Palace, by the way. Later in the channel, you will have the Premier League video, of course, with Tom Rennie. And the next game, Calcio Como, Fiorentina Como out of the relegation again with 10 points. If there is a traffic jam on top of the standings, you also have to check the bottom. From Lecce, 9 points, still Parma, 12. We have 5 teams or 6 teams if we include both, so a lot of teams involved also in the relegation battle. For Calcio Como, it's only 2 points in the last 6 games. And if we say that Atalanta is the most informed team in Serie A, we have to put this in context also, or in rivalry with Fiorentina. What a season, 6 consecutive wins, beat Verona 3-1, is 7 wins and 1 draw in the last 8 games. Great numbers for Palladino, great numbers for 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, already 8 goals. Fiorentina, Leo, the last seasons, they were very good in knockout competitions in Europe and in the Cup, but in Coppa Italia, but not in the league. And this season, they are working in the regularity.
Absolutely, look, Edu, there are like some vibes that what you could read from Italian journalists and from Fiorentina fans, that there are vibes of that 2015-2016 season when Fiorentina in Serie A, they finished 5th. Of course, they want to play Champions League football, but I think we are heading into a great season for Fiorentina. I mean, what they're doing at the moment as well is great. The 3-1 win was very good for them, especially Edu on Matchday 12, because it was at the back of a surprise defeat in Conference League against Apoel Nicosia. They lost 2-1 there. Great night, Matchday 12 for 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, scoring a hat trick. You said 8 goals this season so far, and then when you look at the expected goals, the expected goal for 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 is 8.45. So basically, he scored every chance that he was meant to score. He's fighting for being the capocannoniere in Serie A with Retegui, and they're also fighting to be the number 9 with Italy. When 𝗏𝗏𝗏 left Fiorentina to Juventus in January 2022, for I think it was like 80 million euros on the time, he scored 8 goals in his first 12 matches with Juventus, and now we see 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 doing or having the same records, but with the inverse journey, going from Juventus to Fiorentina. For Fiorentina, what he's doing, I think, is great for 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, and also for Fiores per se, because Fiorentina was struggling to find a prolific striker in the last few seasons. Edu, you will see the names of Piontek. You remember the Polish striker, Piontek, Cabral, Sola, 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿. Well, and no one managed to get this number that 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 is doing at the moment. He's showing as well a good understanding with Beltran, the ex-River Plate, who assisted 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 for the first goal on Matchday 12. Also, Yassine Adli, the French midfielder on loan from Milan, he's doing great. I believe Fiorentina, if he keeps this level, is gonna take the option to buy him permanently, and maybe the other champs in March in the international break, he might end up calling Adli as well. They are favorites, of course, in here against Calcio Como, 6 without a win, as you said, with 4 defeats on that run for Cesc Fabregas' team before the international break. A very disappointing 1-1 with Genoa, especially because Genoa's equalizer came on the 92nd minute of the match. Como has scored in each of their 4 home games this season. They won 1 and they drew 2 at home so far. But Fiorentina is one of the best scoring sides of this Serie A. The goals market is the one to go for me here. The goals over 2.5, odds of 2.25. Not bad.
Not bad. Fiorentina to win also. The odds are great. Viola to win 2-0. Theo is telling us Fiorentina plus 1.5. Not sure what that means, to be honest, because Asian handicap plus 1.5, the odds will be really, really low. Also, Theo praising De Gea back in a big team. True. And hello to Petros from South Africa. I like Bilton, Petros, and South African wine also. Pretty good. Lucky you. Next game, Torino, Monza. Torino, as usual, mid of the table, in mid-table, but they are in really bad form, Leo. 6 defeats in the last 7 Serie A games. They started the season pretty strong, and Monza trying to escape from the bottom 3. I think the team won't suffer at the end of the season, but they had a tough schedule and they lost to Lazio, Milan, and Atalanta, all 2-0. But still, I see some value here. I wouldn't discard a draw or a positive result for Monza.
Yeah, absolutely, Edu. I actually, I'm telling you, I'm gonna go for double chance Monza here, because despite those 3 consecutive defeats we can see for them, as you said, it was away to Atalanta 2-0, and at home against Milan 1-0, and against Lazio as well they lost 1-0. But especially with Milan, we mentioned on the time, they created many chances. They were very unlucky not to get at least a point against the Rossoneri. With Lazio, they done well, and not too many teams. They go to Bergamo and they go home at the end with only 2 goals in the bag. So it's not as bad, I believe, the performances that those 3 defeats can show. When you just look at the numbers and you see the red on Monza. For Torino, having 6 defeats in the last 7 is tough. I wouldn't be surprised to see the return of Ivan Juric sooner than later to Torino. It's true that they have a string of injuries against going into the derby with Juve, but the reality is that as soon as Timothy Weah scored the first one, they dropped their guard and they were never on the game. They will have Monza. They will have a Tony Sanabria coming after scoring an amazing goal against Argentina, and also be important coming from the bench to rescue a point in Bolivia, in the altitude of Bolivia with Paraguay. The supporters have not turned yet on Vanoli, because mostly the focus for Torino supporters is on the president Urbano 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. They want him out. But the problem going into this match day 13 is that they're going to still have more players who are injured, because it's not just the ones that they had with the Juve, but now they need to add Ivan Ilić, the midfielder, who had to be sent home from Serbia with a knee injury. Jovic is not 100% fit, although even if he's 100% fit, I don't know how much he can give to Torino. But Milinkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper, is also reported injury with the national team. And as I said, for Monza, it's half full glass despite those 3 defeats. So for me, despite the poor runs of both, the performances of Monza have been better than Torino lately. So as I said, double chance Monza, 1.8.
Indeed, good odds also for the draw. For instance, I wouldn't be surprised. Both teams unable to score in the last Serie A games. The bookies don't expect goals. Under 2 goals, pays only 1.8. So imagine if the bookies expect a very boring game between these 2 northern teams. Let's go to the south. Derby del Sole, Napoli Roma, as we mentioned at the beginning of the video. Professor Ranieri, a manager that I loved, is back. I remember him saying goodbye to Cagliari with tears on his eyes. It looked like he was going to retire, but no. There you go. He's back to one of the loves of his life, to Roma, and cannot be more difficult. The first game against Napoli, top of the table. They were very lucky, as we said at the beginning, to get that draw against Inter, and was important because I guess they could have a quieter international break, Leo, because the last game at the Maradona, remember, was a heavy defeat. 3-0 against Atalanta. Last season, by the way, was 2-2 between these 2 teams.
Look, and the international break hasn't been easy neither for Napoli, because they had the scare of McTominay getting injured. In the end, what we got to know is he's gonna be ready to play against Roma. But Romelu Lukaku, we know he got injured on his knee. He couldn't play against Israel on the second match. He only played against Italy, and then he flew back to Napoli. And then yesterday, Gazzetta dello Sport saying that Napoli is ready to sell Kvaratskhelia to Barcelona, because he doesn't want to sign a new contract. What I'm not sure is Barcelona is able to pay for Kvaratskhelia. That's a different matter. But I think that the draw with Inter was good for them. Was good because they were coming at the back of that heavy defeat you mentioned against Atalanta. Was good because they kept the pole position in Serie A, and was good because in the second half they could have lost the game with that penalty that Calhanoglu missed for Inter. It raises a little bit of an eyebrow that against Juventus, Inter and Atalanta, they have managed to collect only 2 points, but they are showing that they are competitive anyway. Now comes Roma, and Napoli at home have won 5 of their 6 games, the only exception being that one against Atalanta, and Roma has no wins away from home with 4 draws and 2 defeats. The first thing for Claudio Ranieri. I love his love of the game. That's something that is amazing from Ranieri. then I don't know if he's the right man for this moment in Roma. I believe the owners, American owners, wanted someone who, at least from the start, won't have will have the support, of course, of the fan base. So basically, they're not gonna be looking at the American owner for the time being. Ranieri already mentioned that he's going to have a cautious approach. I don't know how more cautious than 𝐬𝐿 that could be. But maybe against Napoli, that is going to pay off, because Napoli lately is struggling when they have the ball and the opposition teams sit deep, so they cannot create a lot of chances. They are feeling better when they have space to run. So maybe to be conservative might pay off for Ranieri against Napoli. We're gonna see if Ranieri is the one who's gonna resurrect Paulo Dybala's season as well. They need him more than ever. So with Ranieri already telling us that he's gonna have a conservative approach, with Antonio Conte for sure not wanting to see any repeat of what happened against Atalanta, I'm going to go the goals market, but the goal market under, in this case with Napoli and Roma, goals under 2.5, 1.8.
Well, the first thing for Ranieri is fixing the defense. They've been so leaky, so poor, 17 goals conceded in Serie A, and so poor away from home, both in the Europa League and in Serie A, unable even to beat the teams in the relegation spots. Adam is going for both teams to score. It pays over 2, both teams to score, because the bookies expect both teams to score. No. And Theo is also seeing Roma in the score sheet. Lukaku also against his ex. It's an interesting game. It's a huge rivalry between these two clubs. And now let's go to the capital, Lazio, Bologna. Back to the Olimpico, because before the international break,
exactly.
They played there and they won. That's why 𝐬𝐿 was sacked. And Bologna is amending a little bit his steps and his path in Serie A. 3 consecutive wins after a bad start, especially because of Orsolini and Castro. They are scoring, but they are playing against another informed team like Lazio. Is 4 consecutive wins in Serie A since they lost to Juventus, with 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵 scoring in the last win against Monza. And they are the best home team, Leo, in the country, in the Bel Paese. 5 wins and 1 draw.
Yes, and only Atalanta have scored more than them at home. Atalanta scored 20 goals. Lazio scored 14 goals at the Olimpico. When you take all the competitions, 10 wins in the last 11 matches is an impressive run for Lazio. And I thought that defeat with Juventus could mean an slump in their form. However, they came out from that defeat in Turin very, 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 very strong. There is a chance that 𝐵𝗂, who's doing very well this season, won't be fit for Sunday. He's been sidelined by the Senegalese Federation because of he got malaria. The international break anyway brought good news for Rovella, playing for Inter against playing for Italy, against France, in which we saw as well Matteo Guendouzi. So even Lazio's players are getting time in national team sides. 𝐶𝐭𝐿𝐴, you mentioned, the captain, scoring to win against Monza. He's having a good season, especially the last 5-6 games. 𝐶𝐭𝐿𝐴, he's someone that he receives the ball and straight away he set up the eyes on the defender, and he's gonna go 1v1, a true winger. 𝐶𝐭𝐿𝐴, Lazio the best home team in the season so far, but Bologna, be careful, one of the best team away from home. Actually, they have taken 11 points of the 18 they have away from home. They're in a good form, 3 consecutive wins, as you mentioned, and 2 of those wins have been away from home, and the last one as well in the Olimpico against Roma. Santi Castro scored the opening, and that was important for him to regain confidence. He has now 4 goals and 2 assists, which is not bad. He arrived in January, so this is going to be his first full season for Bologna, and he's only 20, so that's good for him. But the main man at the moment is Riccardo Orsolini, who also scored in the Olimpico against Roma. He has 5 to his name so far this season. The odds of 1.9 for Lazio to win are really good. That is clear. But I imagine a close match which can get open in the second half, especially again when we are playing at the back of an international break. So for me here, Edu, here, first half double chance. Double chance Bologna, 1.52. I know a conservative approach, but something that I can see unfolding at the Olimpico.
Well, most of our people are going for Lazio. Lazio Asian handicap plus 2.5. That's a lot, and the odds,
That's a lot, I
guess,
would say,
are
yeah.
massive. Yeah, Theo is going for a straight win for Lazio. Actually, the odds are good, 2.0, but I guess at one point also Lazio should see escaping points from the Olimpico. It's not normal the strike that they are having at home. And for Monday, we have two games, 5:30, Empoli, Udinese, both having a great season because both struggled last season to stay in Serie A. And Udinese, they are falling a little bit in the table, but they had a really good start of the season. It's 3 consecutive defeats for them. Empoli able to draw with Lecce, able to beat Como, important points against direct rivals. Here, also very tough, Leo. The bookies are pointing us to the draw.
Yes, absolutely. And then they're separated only for 1 point in the table. Udinese 16, Empoli 15. You look at Udinese, and they have performed much better than their 3 consecutive defeats are saying, or their 5 defeats in the last 7. First of all, 4 of those defeats have been against Inter, Milan, Juventus, and Atalanta. And with Milan, they deserve a point at least in San Siro. And with Atalanta, they went to halftime winning the game, and they were unlucky not to have given a penalty on match day 12. Empoli has won 1 of the last 7 with 3 defeats in that run, and it's true that they drop a little bit the level that we saw from them at the beginning of the season, but they remain a difficult team to break. Only Inter managed to score more than 2 goals against Empoli so far this season. They have drawn 1-1 with Lecce before the break, which cannot put in brackets of their best game of the season so far, especially in a game they were winning, but they couldn't control it. The problem for Empoli is that in 6 home games, Edu, this season they score only 1 in front of their fans. And Udinese away from home have conceded 12. Yes, okay, that could be a lot, but they managed at least to score 7 away from home in 6 games. Udinese, there is a total parity for the bookies, but I think the edge is with Udinese. My take here, Edu, draw no bet Udinese 1.98.
Okay, X2 for Adam, and Theo is going the other way around, actually. Draw no bet for Empoli in this case. And the last game, very important for the relegation battle.
Yep.
Venezia, 8 points, bottom of the table. Lecce, only 9 after the draw. With Empoli, last 4 games for them, under 2.5 goals, a team that is unable to score away, 0 goals scored away from the Via del Mare, only 1 point, and Venezia doing better in the last games, despite not getting the points, for instance, in the game against Inter, or that defeat against Parma, last one.
Yes, absolutely. There is as well some parity between the sides. There is a big difference in terms of like Lecce is still struggling to score. They have 5 goals scored so far in all season. Lecce and, for example, Venezia have scored 4 in the last 4 match days. I mean, they have scored more goals than Lecce only in the last 4 match days. So they might have a little bit of the edge here, Venezia against Lecce. Lecce that is going into the game with a different manager, Marco Giampaolo, whose last job was in Sampdoria in 2022. In Genoa, he showed that his team could score. They scored 24 times in 25 games. If he managed to bring goals to Lecce, that would be amazing. But also the problem with his last time in Sampdoria is that his team was also quite leaky. They conceded 39 times in those 25 games for Sampdoria. And he announced the other day that Lecce is going to play good football. We are going to see soon what that good football means for him. So very difficult here, Edu, to go as well, 𝐿1 or 𝐿2. Venezia scored 3 to win against Udinese 3 match days ago, and even in those last 2 defeats, they have not been poor at all, especially, as you said, with Inter in San Siro. So I can see them a little bit more favorites in here. My take, Venezia first team to score 1.87.
Okay, Theo is going for Venezia to win, and Adam for both teams to score. Thanks everyone also for your comments, Adam and Theo, especially commenting a lot of tips and giving us some tips. If you want also, apart from posting your tips, you can do it also, post your tips on Oddspedia completely for free and with the chance to win some cash prizes. We have monthly, yearly, now Premier League, NBA, NFL, a lot of different competitions. Well, Leo, by the way, we are on Discord. I want you
as
also
well
to remember, as well, everywhere, in every platform. Leo, your safe bet?
Parma Atalanta, first half goals over 0.5. So we need 1 goal, odds of 1.29.
2 offensive teams should be easy. And your ACCA?
Juventus double chance, como Fiorentina goals over 2.5, and first half double chance Bologna. All these 3 odds of 5.81.
Well, guys, good luck to everyone. Thank you, Leo. See you next week. Bye bye.
See you next week. Bye bye.